Remember, please hit like and subscribe for me. Thank you so much. Okay, let's go.
Hi everyone, today is Monday, July the 7th, and this is the Moneyball Morning Report for the Benzinga Pro platform. My name is Anne-Marie Band. We start with the E-mini S&P opening range, low of 62.95 or so, high of 63.13. You can see we broke that edge. The low of the pre-market is 62.90, also collides a little bit with the 63 moving average. Now, notice the reversion to the mean, which is very nice, right? It's got itself another leg to the upside, all right? A lot of macro voices, just not folks like Darius Dale, because he's purely technical, and he's been just blazing it for a long time. But what we have here is a potential liftoff. We are above the VWAP, making the buy zone at around 6,293. First target zone is going to be 60.13. That's the 1 hour opening high. Second target zone is going to be GEX level 4. That's 63.25. Third target zone, 63.34. The loss of 62.90, even as the trend is this bullish, actually because the trend is this bullish, the loss of the region potentially into 62.90 gives us another shot at a buy zone. Very heavy congestion here, certainly something that we want to watch. All right, so very bullish, buy the dip. Momentum is once again above the zero line and moving to the north. Everything's fairly sideways, but it looks on track. Right here, we have the technical divergence with the higher high and the lower high in a momentum space below. Here, we have movement with trend. Higher lows, higher highs, price action moving to the north. Dips are clearly buy zones here for the ES. Let's take a look at the NQ. Opening range for the NQ, low 22,943, high 23,028.50. We broke below it, same mean reversion, came right into prior congestion and the 63, creating the bounce zone. Very likely to be choppy in here because there are a few levels the traders are sitting at, but the dips are still buys. Notice momentum is holding, not quite as strong in the NQ as the ES, but that looks to me like what we're doing. Pullbacks into 22,904 make for a good entry. First target going to be the VWAP at 22,957 or so. Then the top of the range, 23,030 or so. And then first line of resistance, 23,050. We do see the call wall up at 23,100. Not sure we're going to have that kind of pressure today, but it could easily happen. We could have another day that just continually grinds to the north like we had Thursday. Could markets be dislocated? Yes, but could be just relative trending. All right, let's take a look at the YM. The YM gets compressed because the put action events are so far below. All right, let's take a look at the opening range low in the YM and the opening range high. That is the first hour of trading. Low, 44,915. High, 45,050. We never broke the low. Super trend still showing support below. 63 simple moving average holding steady. We're above the VWAP. We just broke out of the high of the opening range. Pullback action into the midpoint of the opening range where the super trend shows support at 44,971. Looks like a nice long there. Stop action down here at 44,900. Pullbacks, easily buy zones. I like to wait for the big dips when my, what is that called? The VWAP, sorry, my brain. When the VWAP goes sideways, right? We see the VWAP a little bit sideways across the board, so I'm going to look for the very low edges. Where are the target edges if we lose the downside event? I think the average daily range gives us the low edge that we ought to look for. That's 44,722, though it appears to me that 44,814 or so looks like a better bet for a hold of a low. We could see very sideways action across the board simply because that VWAP is flat over the last 3 days. Let's take a look at micro Bitcoin. Staring the chart down, opening range for micro Bitcoin, low 109,505, high 110,040. What did we do? We broke above it and failed. We broke below it and failed. But the second time we did it, here at the 3 a.m. hour, it has continued to fade. VWAP still flat. 63 moving average up, but you can see from the momentum the traders are looking for support. My suspicion is that the support edge is lower. And so I'm looking for a bounce into potentially the midline of the opening range, which gives us, let's see if there they go. Pardon me, sneeze coming. What we can see is, the pullback giving us an opportunity for a potential long, but my suspicion is that the bounce is going to give us the short. We could have a pretty good bounce up the call wall into about 110,000, which would bring it down. Again, VWAP is flat. That gives us sideways action with a little more propensity to the downside because the momentum is so steep. Wait for momentum to flatten out if you are thinking about taking a long. Copper. Copper had a monster run several days ago, right? Just really rocketed to the upside. Now it's back into heavy compression. Take a look at the wide range. It filled the gap from June 26th, bounced off of the put support for the 0 DTEs this morning. But let's take a look at this opening range. Opening range low, $5.06. Opening range high, $5.09.235, right? So 5.0925. Are we making lower highs and lower lows? Yes, we are. Are we far away from the 63? Yes, we are. Is momentum up? Yes, it is. What does that give you? A mixed bag. So a double bottoming formation is the easiest way to look for long, but as it sits, bounces into the opening range low at around $5.06, looks to me like a short that could come in to that high volume node right where we sit right now at $5.05. Let's go to nat gas. All right. Natural gas also has had a monster move in its rotation, but this one looks really bad. I mean, wow. Look at this fade. Just super dramatic. Lower highs across the board, beginning to flatten out somewhat. It broke above this line on July 3rd and then collapsed again. Bounces clearly sell zones. Is this oversold? You betcha. But notice, it was oversold here too, and it moved sideways, got closer to the moving average, and then collapsed again. We are to assume that that is the likely formation. If we want to take a counter trend long, my thought would be let it try to come into the heavy congestion or potentially retest the higher low of $3.28. Opening range for nat gas, low $3.32, high $3.35. Sorry, $3.35, thereabouts. So bounces could be sell zones, bounces could be steep. Looks pretty good, especially if you want to look for an inverted head and shoulders pattern down here on the 1 hour. That might make some very, very nice trading. I want to see this stabilize above this low. This chart looks very bearish. It looks very, very bearish, almost manipulated bearish, but we'll leave that alone. All right, let's take a look at oil. Oil sideways. I mean, look at this sideways event. But it broke out of the top of the range, came back down, did not break the low of the range. Okay, so that in itself is a little bit bullish. Opening range, low, $65.40. Opening range high, $66.15. Never broke the low. Tested the high of the opening range, and let me make this a little bit bigger. Broke out, retested that, and moving to the upside. I think there's more bullish pressure here. Notice the average daily range indicator shows this at the top of the range. If it ends up breaking, it's going to make the buyers that trade, the buyers and sellers that trade these ranges have to get rid of their short positions, and it could drive us higher. Maybe the GEX level at 67.45 as it manages prior resistance 3 times, gives us the top edge. Pullbacks are clearly buy zones, but the pullbacks could be very deep. You want to watch this? Look, VWAP all the way down, now up. That essentially makes the whole formation sideways. Okay? Bullish formation on the momentum, but also very high with a flat moving average. That never looks really good. I like the deep pullback for the buy zone. I'll be looking anywhere between $65.71 and $66.15 for the long action to take me higher. Do I want to short it? There's a part of me that does, but I'd like for it to get further away from this moving average in order for me to do it. Let's take a look at gold. Uh-oh. All right, taking a look at gold, we've got, I believe there's more downside to gold. The dollar is finally bouncing. It's going to give people a little bit of a reprieve. Is gold going to continue up? Yes. Central banks continue to buy it. They continue to accumulate it, and they're going to accumulate silver, platinum, all of the metals that are called precious. We're going to see those get accumulated, and since copper is industrial, it probably is also going to get accumulated. Is this oversold? It's showing that it's oversold here in the formation, but the moving average is down. And so where are we sitting? Old support, support, became resistance, became support. This is a pretty good area for a fight zone. My thought would be a flush into the edge of 3,300. You might look for a consolidation there. What I want to see is positive divergence. That means I want to see it bounce, pull back, make a higher low, and this just continue to rocket to the upside. Trend is down, folks. The bounces into 3,300 and 23 are very likely resistance. If they break, we've got a very far ride to the opening range. That opening range low, 3,342. Opening range high, 3,352. That's pretty far away from where price action is. My thought is this continues to sell down. It is very, it was very overbought here. Look at how long it stayed overbought. A couple of days just running up. I suspect that it gives everything back into this range, but we'll see. As it sits right now, I can only take the short at around 3,319 into deeper support. If it loses, if it breaks 3,320, I mean, the super trend is all the way up here at 3,335. So two-way tape here for sure. Let's take a look at SPY. Both the SPY and the Qs had a tight opening range this morning, sitting fairly bullish. You can see momentum is down, probably based on the gap down. They're trying to fill the gap. Opening range for these guys, low $622.48, high $622.98, very tight. Pullbacks, easily buy zones. This one could be giving us a mean reversion one more time. It's very far away from the 63. Look for lower highs at around $625.35 to consider short action that could lead us all the way down into $619, $620. That's where Thursday's closing VWAP line is. Let's finally look at the Qs. Very tight opening range as well. Low of the opening range, 600, whoops, that's SPY. Good grief. Low of the opening range in the Qs, low 552.77, high 553.53. Very interesting. Just tested the bottom of the opening range and bounced. Super trend has resistance very high, 557. That's where I'd like to see a short, right? Momentum is down, trend is up. Trend is always master and commander. As momentum drifts down, you look to the left for prior support zones. I like using super trend for that. You can see this dip down here into the low of the opening range as a support floor. If we lose $552.70, areas, woo, that's a big bounce, 552 and then 553. Could this end up being sideways? Yes. What is the trend, folks? It's bullish. So you want to be really careful trying to short and then holding on to that short. The short has to immediately respond in a time frame that works your strategy, or it's done. All right? And that's all there is to that. Okay, I'll see the Benzinga folks on at the midday Moneyball report. We'll be looking at a really cool tool TrendSpider has for us, and that's 10 sessions of squeeze. We're going to be looking down some of these today. That's going to be fun, getting to position that. Really excited about moving that into our space. All right, that's it for me, folks. I'll see you on the streams.